Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Big Read Book Giveaway event. Thank you so much for being here. I am Jennifer Schwartz, a Programming Services Manager with the Harris County Public Library, and I'm just so excited about tonight's event. It's so wonderful to be able to give out copies of Infinite Country by Patricia Engel, and I want to give a big thanks to Tony Diaz, Clarissa Zubia, and the whole team at Nuestra Palabra for making that possible. They celebrated the Big Read last year. The Big Read is a program made possible by the NEA, the National Endowment for the Arts, where we encourage the entire community to read and discuss the same book, which is Infinite Country, just as we're doing here tonight. I want to give a big thanks to the Marks Library for hosting us here in their beautiful space. I hope you'll take advantage of all that they have to offer. And I want to thank everyone on the panel tonight, all of you, and Precinct 4, support, sorry about that. We do have a special surprise. Before I hand it over to Tony, we have a special message from the author of the book, Patricia Engel, who is so excited that we're discussing it.
Hi, I'm Patricia Engel. I'm joining you from my office at the University of Miami. I want to give all of you welcome. Thank you for Washington Country at the Monarchs Library, part of the Harris County Public Library. I also want to give thanks to Nuestra Palabra writers having me say the Harris County Public Library, the Harris County Precinct 4, and the students from Victory Early College and Lone Star College. I'm so excited that Nuestra Palabra is donating 100 copies of Infinite Country. 27 of those copies will go into library circulation, one for each branch of the HCPL, and another 73 copies to community members last year. This is made possible thanks to NEA grants. I hope you have a wonderful time. Thanks for listening.
Very nice.
I gave Patricia a big thanks on all of our behalf for personalizing that. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Tony. And
Great.
I hope you enjoyed the event.
Let's applaud our hosts. No, thank you and your team for rolling out the red carpet, for always create a great space where we can come and gather as a community, share stories, and inspire each other to continue imagining, dreaming, and really celebrate intellectual freedom. As you may know, that's huge right now. So thank you so much for creating this space for many years. And I do want to say one thing. You were kind enough to thank our team. Clarissa, where's Clarissa? Clarissa mentioned that you said this is the library where you were started reading as a kid. Is that the case? I love it. I love it. That's full circle. So that means that this is a great legacy. This is how it works. Bienvenidos a todos ustedes. Gracias por acompañarnos esta noche. Es un orgullo, honor llegar hasta aquí de Katy. Estamos viniendo desde, actually, we're coming from Acres Homes, which is where Lone Star College Houston North is located. I do want the students to stand up and wave, so please stand up. You're on the stage now, but you as well, you'll be speaking later. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you very much. And they are 16 and 17-year-olds. They are students at Victory Early College. That means that they are taking courses right now that count towards the high school diploma, but also towards an associate's degree. And I've had the pleasure of being their professor. This is the second semester now. And in the first semester, we included in our curriculum Infinite Country. And right now we're reading actually the House on Mango Street in the second semester, but they really got involved. This was last semester as well. And we did really get to talk about the book, but we wanted to bring it onto the community as well. And then, of course, we've had some of our students on the air, 90.1 FM KPFT. And that's a nice segue to tell you who the heck we are. So, really fun to team up with you tonight. My name is Tony Diaz, a Librotraficante. I'm the founder of Nuestra Palabra, Latino writers having their say. And we have been involved in literature since 1998. I do want to give a shout out to our sound engineer, Rodrigo Bravo, right here. Round of applause for him. And then another round of applause for Clarissa Zubia, who's taking pictures right there. And just so you know, we do live events, but we also do pop-up events like this. We also are updating our website. So in May, we invite you to go to nuestrapalabra.org. It's going to be a full-fledged experience online. So we'll have authors, visual artists, poets online. We're going to make sure to connect people who want to buy books with places that need books. And we're going to be bringing you the cutting edge of Latino literature and culture 24/7. Because sometimes the library's got to close, right? But but the website will be open 24/7. But we're going to keep teaming up like this constantly. I also want you to know that, of course, right now this is being live streamed. So if you have your phones, you can go to Nuestra Palabra's Facebook page. You know, in the old days, if someone was speaking and you were on your phone, it was rude. Nowadays, if we're talking and you're not on your phone, it's rude because we haven't said anything we're posting evidently then. So feel free to post, feel free to share it. But just so you know too, the live stream then, Rodrigo's going to edit it and it will air. Is it next Tuesday night, Rodrigo, or 2 Tuesdays? Yeah. Next Tuesday night at 7 p.m. on 90.1 FM KPFT, this will air also. And then, of course, it will become part of our podcast as well. And we hope that folks that missed this or want to share this with a teacher, or if you turn into someone and someone tells you, you know what? The youth today don't care about books. You know what? Teenagers are just on their phones. You need to tell them, you know, the other night I was at the library and I ran into some great kids that were excited about books. They drove over an hour, about an hour. They drove over an hour on their own time outside of school to talk about books with the community. And that's what's up tonight. This is the longest I'm going to talk tonight because I brought a team of geniuses and we've got the young people that want to speak. And we want to hear what you have to say about the book as well, because we want to spread it. We want to spread the joy. And one thing we tell the students is they're experts on this because they bring their experience to it. They tell us what connected with them. We may have one way of looking at it, but they have another. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to ask our panelists to introduce themselves. And then we're going to give a little bit of perspective on the book. But the idea then is to spark a conversation about it and really to broaden our horizons and how this book Esteban is a PhD in anthropology and also from Colombia. So he brings a really interesting perspective. Muy buenas noches, amigo. Thank you for coming.
Buenas noches a todas y todos. I'm Esteban Acuña. I'm a PhD in anthropology. I studied in Europe. Now I'm living here, following my life partner. And I'm happy to be here. Coincidentally, this book takes place in Bogota, the city where I'm from, and more or less at the same time that the author describes. So I was kind of pleased to just be here and accept the invitation from Tony, and I'm happy. I mean, please, I will also talk just a little bit, and be happy to answer any questions about my country and all of the interesting things that this book contains.
How many pages of notes did you bring there?
Just three.
Okay.
But it's just to remember the book. It's just to remember the book.
We should get to all three.
Just to remember the book. Perfect. Colombia.
Which is where the book is set.
Yeah.
So it's great to see him get to give that perspective.
You can see the colors of the flag here and all. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Angela Martinez. I'm with Harris County Public Library, and I will be your representative tonight on all things Harris County, and I love talking about literature and spreading literacy. And for me, reading a book by any Latino author is very important to me. Growing up Mexican-American, I wasn't exposed to that much literature that written by people that look like me and from their experiences. So I'm always happy to promote literature written by Latinos. And if you have any questions about reader advisory, I can recommend some great books for you to read.
Awesome.
Hello, my name's Andreina dos Santos. and I am a 17-year-old that attends Victory Early College High School. And this book is actually one of the first books that I read that's by a Latino author. And I'm just here to kind of give my insight on it, how I connected with the book. That's it.
And since the mic is by you, keep it. I want to start with you. But I want something to hit home. We're in 2024. These students are motivated. I mean, they want to learn. They not only are doing work that counts for high school, it counts for their associate's degree. So they really want to progress, and they don't have access to books about their culture. In this day and age, even though we think it might be addressed, it still is not. And I also want to share with you that it takes all of us to get these books into the hands of our students, because you're about to see the impact it had on some of them. And I really think that if one of us, sleeps too long one day, gets tired, because it happens, if we don't do that one little act that has that ripple effect, other students don't wind up with these books in that hand. Tonight you're reporting for duty. Tonight you're here, you're championing this book, you're making them feel excited. They're a little nervous. Okay, they're a little nervous, but I assure them that this is the nicest audience possible for them to make their North American debuts. Right? But you came and supported them, and they're going to remember this, and you're going to remember the youth, and you're going to spread that as well. But it takes all of us to really unite. And can you please tell us then, why did this book touch your heart, and how long did it take you to read it, and what did you feel in your memory, corazoncito, cuando estabas leyendo?
So this book actually took me like 3 days to read. So this book, the detail that the author did put in here, it reminded me a lot of my family, since my mom and my parents come from Uruguay. They came here almost 22 years ago, and ever since then they haven't been able to go back. My two older siblings are also from over there, so obviously they can't go back either. But it really, I said, like, it just reminded me a lot of my family and like what they've gone through. But yeah.
Great, thank you. Want to go next?
So I really connected with this book because I was thinking about not my own experience. I'm a mom on my mom's side. I'm like second generation. So I was thinking about my grandmother when she came in over, like in the 60s, and how hard it was for her, because in the book they have technology. It takes place like about early 2000s. So they talk about being able to FaceTime and see each other and talk that way. And whereas my grandmother had to leave her family behind to move to the US pretty much on her own. And like she didn't connect with people for a while, and until maybe she reconnected with her siblings that came later. So I thought about that, and from my grandmother's perspective a lot when I was reading this book.
And do you want to share that you are you're used to libraries? You grew up in them.
Yes, yeah. So I like to say I grew up in libraries. We talked about going full circle earlier. My mother, when I was about 4 or 5 years old, she began a position at the Kingwood Branch Library, and so I have fond memories of visiting her there. She always promoted literacy, always encouraged my reading. She introduced me to Harry Potter because she saw the book was circulating like crazy in the 90s. She's like, let's pass this on to my kids, and just fell in love with it and fell in love with reading even more. And I was one of those kids that volunteered at the library. I attended programs at the library, did summer reading. And when I was an undergrad, I took a part-time position at the Kingwood Branch Library to kind of go back full circle. And from there, just fell in love with actually what we're doing here at the library and how we serve the public in our communities.
That's fantastic. It's great to have you bring that full circle as well. So, Esteban, tú naciste en Colombia.
I did.
Conoces estas calles. ¿Qué te pareció ver esto en el libro? Y es exactamente, is it exactly accurate? And does it have to be? You know?
I think now listening to my fellow panelists, I was thinking that one of my cousins that now live in the US might have written this book. You know, it's the story of many different people that migrated from Colombia, por el hueco, like we used to say. There's a famous song about it in my country, which is trying to get to the United States by any means possible. If you have a visa, cool. If you don't, then you have to do the difficult way. But I remember the first time I got an interview with an American consul. She asked me, "Do you have any family in the United States?" And I was like, I just laughed. I just laughed. And she's like, "Why are you laughing?" It's like, because every Colombian has family in the United States. They're like, how are you asking that question? Yes, I have family in Miami. I have family in Seattle. I have family in California. Like, but I'm going for a conference, so don't worry about that. It is kind of a full circle situation because now I am migrating to the United States and I've been here only for 2 years. So it's very nice to see um, Colombia from the standpoint of somebody that left, whose family left, and it's now trying to go back and trying to understand what happens in the country and the trajectories of people that come to the United States to become Latinos, and Latinas. So I personally think that it's not necessarily reflects my experience because I was born there and lived there for 20 something years, 22 years, and I go every year back and whatnot. But it definitely reflects the experience of people that I know personally, like my cousins and my aunts and uncles and whatnot. Yeah.
And some of what they were recollecting kind of made you think of them because it's valid to them. How do you reconnect with Colombia? No, and then here you are trying to recapitulate that. Is that a little bit of it?
Yes. No, exactly. Basically, if you think about the difficulties of not being able to return, for example, to the country where you come from, I have an uncle, for example, that had to live apart from his wife and daughters for several years while his situation stabilized here in the United States. And well, and I could. There's so many stories like that, as I said before, in every Colombian family, being in Colombia or here. So it's quite powerful. Yeah.
That's great. And then I do. So you got 3 pages of notes. I want to hear that. Why don't you give us some insights into some of the thoughts you were putting together? Because again, you bring this broad experience, but at the same time, it's fascinating to hear how you navigate it as an anthropologist, but also as una persona. También alguien tiene corazón latino, pero también someone intellectual. So yeah, pick a paragraph.
No, it's no. I just wanted some memory cues in case somebody asked questions about the book specifically or whatnot. But just to start, I think the book contains at least 3 different stories, so it's very interesting because your experience can resonate with all of them or just 1 or 2. So it's basically the story of what we can call a crime, which is how the book starts. The story of a journey, which is the family. That we follow throughout the book, and then the story from the standpoint of a person that migrated of a city, the city where I'm from, Bogota, which is where most of the things happen, or at least connect with, like how the people, like everybody connects through the city of Bogota and what happened there, which is interesting. Like on the way here, I was listening to some music from my country, and I remember like reading this book and not remembering it related to music, although in Colombia we listen to music all the time. So it's this kind of like little things that I would have loved for them to be there because that's my experience of Colombia, but it's definitely not Patricia's experience of Colombia. So yeah, we can start with those 3 stories and then we can go up from there. What do you think?
Okay. Well, and actually, we have a question. Rodrigo, how do we handle the question? Can you put them on the mic?
No, I don't need it.
Okay.
That's one question. Are all 4 of you bookworms?
Sure.
Raise your hand.
We're bookworms, not a bookworm. Actually, what are you going to study in college?
I was planning on studying mechanical engineering.
I'm not just a bookworm, I write them too. So bookworm and
You can say book dragon.
Book dragon.
wanna
There you go.
up
Are you a bookworm?
I wish I was more. I was one of these people, the only book I know of and they have not had.
Oh, I do that too. It's okay.
But it kind of reminds me of a joke like that. What is the best exercise for the brain?
What is the best exercise for the brain?
Walking to the library.
Walking to the library. I like that. I like that a lot. And I'm glad that you have a new collection, a new book to add to your library, which is Infinite Country. And since we're breaking the fourth wall, I would like to call some of my students up to share their insights. Do you want to hear from them? All right. The public demands to hear you. Here you go. I'll let you. And by the way, this is a microphone not just for the room, but also for the live feed, for the live stream. Yeah. Tell folks your name and yeah, tell us what you thought of the book.
Hello, my name is Benjamin Roy. I am 16, surprisingly, with all the facial hair. I am from Victory Early College, and I am the son of Mexican parents. So I come from a line of immigrated people, and I really connected to this book after my parents. When I was little, my parents would give me tales of how they traveled and how they fell in love, which really reminds me of it was one chapter, I was like around chapter 7, chapter 8, where Mauro and Elena, how they would fall in love and get to know each other and then move together, and how they would bicker. The bickering part, I really connected with. My parents would bicker all the time, and they would debate, can we visit Mexico? Can we go back, visit more family from there? But my mom would disagree, and my dad would always say, vámonos, quiero cocinar de todos los ranchos, todos los animales que crecen. And then my mom she would just ignore him and then say no, because it's dangerous. And especially this time, there's a lot of gang activity and other stuff. Yeah.
Well, what do you plan to study in college?
I plan to be a detective or a special agent in FBI.
Are you a bookworm?
No.
But you like this book?
I love this book. I love this book.
Round of applause. We'll call you back up in a little bit. Next up, we have another young scholar. Are you nervous? I think if we applaud really loud, we'll make her feel right at home. Applause, please.
Hello, my name is Tammy Tran. I'm 17 and I'm from Victory Early College as well. This book, it was really interesting because I've never been a bookworm and this book really intrigued me because, I mean, it was not specifically targeted for an audience like me, like I am Asian. So whenever I was reading the book, like there were some things that I didn't understand, but even with that, I felt like I really connected with the emotions that the author mentioned in the book. Yeah.
And what do you want to study in college?
Oh, I want to be an architect. So.
And this is the first time you've delved into a book. It's really caught your attention.
Yeah.
We have a new bookworm. Thank you very much. And we'll call you back up in a little bit if you're inspired. And last but not least, we have one more scholar. Please, round of applause.
So, hello, good evening. My name is Carlos Carmona. I'm 16. I also attend Victory Early College High School. Compared to my classmates, I seem to be like dressed because Mr. Diaz, professor told me he would come in a suit, but surprisingly, he did not come in a suit. So, apart from that, I really enjoyed reading Infinite Country. mostly because it connects most with my father. My father is the immigrant of our family. Even though he's not with my mother, he told me about how they met, and she saw him one day working out in the field. He really caught her attention due to the fact of how hardworking he is. Even to this day, when they're not together, he praises how hard he's come and how much he's achieved. Just like how Mauro dedicated all of his time to his family and wished the best for them. That's what my dad has continued to do to this very day. The last question. What was it? What do I want to do when I go to college? I want to be an aerospace engineer, mostly because my father always told me about rockets and how much he really interested in them, especially though the combustion engine. He's really intrigued with machines. I've been around them my entire life. Hopefully one day I can get his cab over that he's always wanted, because that is my dream.
Thank you very much. We're in good hands in the future because I get to hang out with young people like this every day. This is the stereotype you need to have about our youth. They're inquisitive, they want to learn more, and they can empathize through stories. Thank you for being a great audience for them. Thank you for creating spaces for them. Thank you for putting a book in their hands, and thank you for being a great audience for them. Maybe they'll come up again later. We do have more to say, but we do want to make it a back and forth. So we want you to ask questions. I'm giving Rodrigo a heart attack because he's going to go back later and say they got to be on the mic. So I'm going to ask. We have one more scholar. Yes, actually, and we chatted. So she's not late because she said, Professor Diaz, I looked at the GPS. It's going to take me about an hour and a half to get there. I said, you know what? Don't worry about it. We're going to start. You blend in, but we need your input. We have one more scholar, ladies and gentlemen. Please, round of applause. Buenas noches.
Okay, my name is Marian Regin Garcia, and I'm 16 years old, and I also go to Victory Early College. And don't feel bad, Carlos, because I also dressed up too. Okay, so I really enjoyed this book, and I usually don't like reading at all, but this was like a book I could really resonate to, and like the first time I could pick up a book and really relate to the characters a lot. And this book really hit close to home because both of my parents are immigrants, and they also had to struggle a lot to make it where they are today. And oh, sorry, I'm so nervous. Okay, but it really hit close to home because like Elena had a lot of odd jobs, like trying to make it through life, and one of those jobs was cleaning houses, and that really reminded me of my mom. And she's such a strong woman, and that character just completely reminded me of my mom. And like growing up, I've always helped my mom clean houses and stuff. And the father, he went through a lot, and he had his vices and stuff, but Elena always stuck through with him through it all. And that really reminded me of my parents and like their immigrant experience being here. And my father's a very hardworking man, and he's always done the best that he could to provide for us. And the book really made me reflect in life, and it made me be grateful that my parents didn't have it as hard as other immigrants do. And it's like my dad is still living out like his like the reason he came here, his American dream, and like being able to buy a house, sending his kids to college and stuff. And it's always been my father's dream to be able to go back to his home country, and he still hasn't. And so the book really hit close to home, and I even shared it with my older sister, and she also enjoyed the book. And yeah, it was a really great read. So if y'all haven't read the book, I really recommend it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think I need to go put my blazer on right now. We have our first question. Rodrigo, should I ask him to come up here then and speak? Okay, just so that he can put that on the air. Or I can repeat the question, but it just makes it longer. Why don't you come up here? Come on, the 16-year-olds did it, okay? Thank you. Thank you very much. Note to self. My kids hear me and my wife bickering, and they'll tell people we do it. No, está bien, está bueno. Great. Give us your name. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. My name is Sarah, and my question is kind of two-part. The book the first question is easy. Is it in Spanish yet? I don't think so, right? So I'm curious, how do you think it will be received in Colombia? What do you think people there are going to think of the stories that are being told?
That is a great question. By the way, even just translating the book into Spanish is a very complicated ball game as well. First, you got to get it published. The New York publishing industry, imagine the Spanish-speaking world completely different than the English-speaking world. And then, is it going to be Chicano Spanish? Is it going to be, is it going to be South American Spanish? Spanglish? It's like, is it Español Colombiano? I mean, it's kind of gotta be, I guess. But if the actual verisimilitude of the place wasn't accurate, the Spanish is gonna be different anyway. But let's get back to Tex-Mex, or is it gonna be in Tex-Mex? Because at some point the publisher's got to say what's the widest audience to spread it as well. But the original question is, so how do you think people in Colombia would receive this?
Well, as I said before, many people will read it as the stories of the people that left, which is always a big question mark back in Colombia. There's all of these images of the United States, some negative, some positive, but they're never really accurate. Like I studied in an American school in Colombia, and I had a really, really warped image of what the United States is, and the people that live in the United States. So imagine people that have no idea except whatever they see online or on television or whatnot. So I personally think that it could really benefit the understanding of what happens in the migratory trail. What happens when people leave, their experiences, their tribulations. It's not always happy. It's not always easy. There's something about the book in which they show, like, the families try to show themselves to the Colombians as if nothing bad is happening, as if they're having a great time. There's even a part in which Elena just hides herself because she gained a little bit of weight, and then she didn't want anybody back home to see that. And I mean, I have cousins that stopped going to Colombia because they didn't want people in Colombia to see that they had gained weight, for example. So it's this kind of struggles that I think are very relatable in the book, and at the same time will maybe create some empathy back in Colombia for the people that left, which not always chose to leave, or if they chose, it was a complicated choice. So I think in that sense it will be well received, but it could also be criticized because it's a book that is written by somebody that has experienced Colombia from afar. So many of the things that happen in the book don't really reflect what I think about the book, and what I think about that part of our history. And to be honest, it was also a little bit surprising how it was advertised as if like the lives of these people and the context of conflict was present in the book, and honestly it's almost not there. There's a couple of passages in which they talk about an army like stop in the middle of a road or stuff like that, but in reality the book doesn't dive deep into the armed conflict in the country, which is ever present for anybody that is from Colombia. So that might be missing for the people back in Colombia, for example. So I mean, we can talk forever about this, but I think it would have mixed reviews. That would be my best answer. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Plus, there's the whole issue of, is there an audience for people in Colombia wondering about that? And we just said it's hard for us to get stories of all Latinos, let alone Colombian Americans. So there's all those other little layers as well. That's a great question. Any other questions so far? Again, I've interviewed them before on the air, so we've talked a lot. I've gotten to talk to the students at length about the book. So I would like to hear maybe one other question, and then you get no pan dulce if you ask no questions to the college. Yes, can you come up here, please, and give us kind of a round of applause for a comment, please? Yes. Thank you very much.
My name is Luz Nelly Gonzalez. I'm from Colombia.
También.
Yeah. I don't read the book. It's first time. I prefer to speak in Spanish because I know English, but I know you don't understand me because I had a strong accent from Colombia, okay?
But we can understand you perfectly well.
Okay,
Y
if you don't
nos
understand.
vamos a anotar en español.
Okay, perfect. Okay, my point is, Colombia is a good country. We have a lot beautiful stuff, but sometimes the news, the comments from Colombia is drug, prostitution, bad thing about Colombia. And this is not Colombia. I think if we do this book in Spanish, for people in Colombia, see and everywhere in the world, they see the other thing from Colombia. The good thing like astronauts or people who work in NASA is from Colombia. People who work in the government is Colombian. Ladies who write this book is Colombia. We need to see more beautiful stuff. In that way, we can change Colombia. One person, this person, she can do a lot of stuff. Like in my case, I am from Colombia, and believe me, I do a lot of stuff here. Helping people, working with people, try to do something to see Colombia in different way. This is my point. And it's a suggestion.
Of course, we're going to applaud you in English.
I don't know if you understand.
Pero si me permite también, Luz, right now, if you don't speak Spanish, we're going to take a Spanish break just for a little bit, and especially for our radio show. Pero también yo creo que es tan importante que usted llegó esta noche para representar a Colombia. Y qué bueno que usted también quiere hablar en inglés, pero también sabe que necesitamos hablar español también para llegar a nuestros corazones, de donde estemos. También que usted como colombiana, ¿qué ve usted de las historias de Colombia? No existen. Habló un poco de lo que vemos en la televisión a veces no son falsos.
If you hear my history, you can do a book. A book who help a lot of people. A book who can improve life. Give courage for people who travel or people who come for first time or stay here. It's many things. And if I see in my clients, I'm not going to say the company name, but my clients, everybody, is a beautiful history because I think if we make it here, we are history. We are encourage people, we can encourage a lot of people because to live here is born. When you come here, you born because you need to walk different ways that you don't know nothing. You need to talk different language, you don't know nothing. You born when you come here to this country. And it's beautiful country and it's the best that we can enjoy and do whatever dreams we have. Okay, this is my point.
What will be the name of this book? So you said, if you wrote the book, what's the name of the book that you're going to write?
The country is I know they know, but the name is Will Country, or country is something, the country en español es como lo entendí yo como la historia en un país.
Pero ¿cuál será el nombre de su libro?
El nombre de mi libro. Sí.
Aunque si usted contaba su historia, será un libro.
Un poquito, le cuento nomás un poquito.
Por lo menos el título y a lo mejor
bueno,
un párrafo.
El libro lo llamaría, y lo tengo en mente siempre, es The Lady with the Hat. La dama de sombrero. Porque por un sombrero yo me hice una terapia de 15 años. Y como el sombrero me ayudó, yo me dediqué a hacer terapia para la gente que tiene cáncer y pierden su cabello. Es lo más duro para la gente que tiene quimioterapia. Ok, let me explain in English. Yo explain in English. Entonces, yo con las terapias les doy sombreros, que los doy, son donaciones, les levanto la moral y ellas se sienten orgullosas por ese tratamiento que la caída del cabello es lo más duro para ellos.
Wow. Primero aplausos. Wow. Wow, this is magical. Okay. And I hope one day for folks that are tuning in. One day when we launch Luz's book, that's going to be full circle and beautiful. Okay. And we'll make sure that's part of the big read too. I asked her, what would be the title of this book? Because she said, if I were to tell you my life, it'd be an amazing book. And she said it would be The Lady in the Hat. Because she said, because of that hat, she learned to discover folks that had cancer and were losing their hair. And she became then someone that could support them, give them help. And now she goes on and helps others also. And to me, that hat's powerful because we associate the losing of the hair with the chemotherapy. But then she goes around and says, well, no, we're bonded, and now we want to hear your story. So, qué lindísimo. Le agradezco mucho. Thank you. Wow, that's beautiful. That's better than me talking for a half hour. Thank you so much for that. Now, I would like to hear maybe a little more from the young women, because this is a book about young women. It has got strong female voices as well. And you mentioned that you were not exposed to books by Latinas even early on. And to me, that's powerful because her mom was a librarian. Like you were surrounded by books. Tell us about that. And then,
Yeah, growing up on the shelves, I didn't really see characters that looked like me or were written by authors that looked like me. If there were any Hispanic characters in books, they're usually stereotypes. They were never the protagonist. They're always like a sidekick, right? And I think it's important now we see the way that trends are going in literature. We're getting more voices in the literature that we're reading and the books that are available on our shelves at the library, where not only Latinos, but like Asians and there's so many diverse books out there right now. Anybody can find themselves now reflected in the books they read. And that's so important to see that someone that looks like you, it's in the book that you're reading. It helps you connect to the book that you're reading, right? And it tells you that your story and the people who look like you, those stories are important and that they should be read by not only you, by others. Because reading is a powerful tool to create empathy. And the more that you read, the more you can empathize with other people and their experiences. And it gives you insight into different experiences. Like I don't have that first generation experience. I kind of did relate it through my grandmother, but that's so far from me now. But just reading it, I can empathize with what the characters and the struggles that they're going through and the resilience that they show throughout the book. And that's very powerful. I mean, I related with an 11-year-old wizard boy when I was reading books. It was British. There were not really any Latinos at Hogwarts. But yeah, so I think it's very powerful, whatever book that you can read. And whether it's in a realistic setting, whether it takes place in Colombia or in the US or in a fantastical world, you can relate with characters as long as in any way that you want.
Very cool. Andrina, what would you say about the woman's voice, about the female voice in this book?
I don't know actually. Well, I don't know actually.
So when you're reading the characters, do you usually? I guess you said this is the first book that reached out to you. Do you think it was because it was the voice of a young Latina, the voice of a mom in there? Sometimes is that what had te tocó el corazón de esa manera, o fueron otras cosas también? No simplemente eso.
I feel like it was mostly. It touched me because like of Elena's story. It was I like saw my mom basically. She did get here 22 years ago, and there's a part in the book where it says that Elena couldn't go back to Colombia to go say bye to her mother because she was unfortunately dying. And then my grandma passed away around 2007, and my mom could not go back to Uruguay to go say bye to her for the last time. And my mom, also like Reggie, my mom cleans houses. She used to clean houses in Uruguay, and now she has her own little business here. And she just built it from the ground up. Now like we have like she has her own like trailer now. She's like paying it off. Like my parents are separated now, so she's doing all this by herself, taking care of my siblings and I by herself. But yeah, she's just my inspiration.
That's beautiful. Did she get to hear you on the radio show the other day? Not yet?
No, no.
Okay. We're going to send you the podcast. And then next Tuesday, 7:30 p.m., 90.1 FM, you'll be on there again. Okay. Because I think as a parent, it would touch her heart to hear this city celebrate her daughter, and for all the sacrifices that she's made, it sends the message that it's paying off. So, but of course, we're proud of you for coming tonight. So thank you for sharing that. We got about 12 more minutes. I wouldn't mind hearing the students again, but I also don't want anyone to feel like they were left out. I'm so happy that you're going to have this book in your family library. We've got a couple extra copies that we're going to leave here as well, in case you can come up with ways to share those. Did you want to add a couple more words? Maybe call out your sister. Is your sister here? Why don't you come up here? Put your sister on the spot. Yeah, las hermanas. And what's your name?
Sabrina.
Very nice to meet you. I can't give her extra credit, but but thank you for bringing her. Thank you for coming.
Hi, my name is Sabrina. I'm 20 years old. Okay, let me just start where I started. So Regina had this book assigned to her, I think it was last semester. And when she finished reading it, she had passed it on to me, and she was like, hey, this is a book I really think you'd like. And at first, when I read the title, I was like, oh, Infinite Country, I wonder what that's about. I wasn't really excited about it, if I'm being honest. And then I finally started reading it, and then when it finally clicked that it was about an immigrant family, that's when it really hit home. Because throughout the entire story, as Reg stated, Mauro and Elena had a lot of trials and tribulations that they went through when they first moved to the States. Whenever they first had Karina, the first child, and they decided to move to the United States to try to provide for her a better life, and they thought it was going to be something temporary. And it's kind of it hits home, because it's it takes me back to my parents. Whenever they moved to the States, I don't think they had it, at least my father didn't have it in his mind that he was going to stay in the States for long, or to try to build a life here. And then, there he went having 3 other little girls, so it's he had no other choice but to stay in the States and try to build that life. And it was the more I compared Mauro to my dad, as it shows, Mauro had, he became an alcoholic, the stress really got to him. It was something that, it was a way that, he cut his own stress, a vice that he had given into. But in the end, he would try his best to change and to better his ways, for his family. And then Elena really, the character of Elena really, I don't want to say it broke my heart, but it, the resemblance that I had to my own mother, I think there's I remember is it page 45 or 46? It's where it mentions that Elena's talking about how Perla, her mom, told her true love is endurance. So it's even though Elena contemplated leaving Mauro many times, because she just wanted to take the kids and go back to Colombia, because living here in the States as an immigrant and not having many opportunities at hand, it's a very tough way of living. They had to lie to Perla and everyone back at home, saying oh no, we're gonna go stay with a cousin, we're gonna our living accommodations aren't gonna be bad, we're gonna be making money to send back. And it's she chose to be a mother first before choosing to be a wife. So it's just her prioritizing her kids just takes me back to my own mom, because she prioritized me and my sisters so much, despite whatever she had going on with my dad. She chose her family before herself. And it's a sacrifice that it's you don't really understand it until you're older, because it's she went through a lot. And despite that all, her resilience and her will to keep going for her kids, despite, them still ended up separating for a couple years and her not being able to see her youngest child or her husband at that. It's it still hits home, it's because it really paints you an image of what life could have been if my mom decided to leave my dad, if they decided to split ways. Because one thing that Elena did mention, that she knew her family would move forward if they stuck together. And that's basically what my mom also something she ran off with as well. And then another thing is when you mentioned the woman's voice, what's it called? Talia's resilience, like that was something that was very, very moving. You know, like she lived with her dad and her grandma. You know, her grandma was, unfortunately dying, and she all those trials and everything she went through, from running across unfortunately perverted men, trying to like get through all those obstacles that got thrown in her way. And she did everything in her power to make it back to her dad, to make it to the United States again. It's like it really came to show how much how much willpower she had to get through that, like no matter what. And it's like I resonate that with like owing it to my parents to want more for myself, like it's like I feel like people with immigrant parents more than anyone will understand how much of a sacrifice and how much you really owe it to your parents, because like they break their back to be able to provide these things for you. And it's like, I guess in a way you could see that she was like grateful in a sense, like trying to make it back to her mom and her other two siblings, which unfortunately she did kind of see as, I don't want to say strangers, even though despite that they would communicate through FaceTime, it's not the same thing as like growing up with them, as having them like at hand. So but yeah, this book was amazing. 10 out of 10, loved it.
Stay right there. Wow. Do me a favor, stay right there. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was fantastic. I'd like your sister to come up, because this story is about women, and I really love that. I mean, it took this book getting the hands of one sister to get to the other sister, and look the magic she brings to us. I don't know. Tell us how much you admire your sister.
Okay. I always tease my older sister and make fun of her because she's always been very empathetic towards like everybody, and especially with me. And she's how do I say this? She's also changed me to be more empathetic towards people. So whenever I read the book, I was like, I saw it and I was like, wow, like this is a really good book. Like I know this is gonna hit close to home for her, because obviously, like being the younger child, you're not exposed to as much as your older siblings. So obviously, this hit closer to home for her, because like obviously she knows like my mom's struggles, my parents' struggles. She had to grow up seeing them like what's the word, go through these hardships together. So when I read the book, I knew she was gonna love it, and she did. She finished it in a day, and she was crying, and she came to me after she finished it, and she was telling me that she really enjoyed the book and that it made her cry and made her be thankful for our parents and for like for everything that they do for us. And like, so the author, she really did get her point across. Like, and I felt like this was a book that not a lot of people know, and I felt like it had to go beyond the classroom. And then, even if it was just to my sister, like it was a great impact. So yes, yeah.
Thank you both. That's awesome. Wow, that's really cool. That made my day. I'm having a great day, by the way. This is all I want. I just want to talk about books, read books, hang out with people who love books. We have about 5 minutes left. I do want to put the students on the line. Does anybody have one more question, or should we have the students say something brilliant? Yes. Can you come over here, please? Pretty please. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming. Thanks for wearing your Astro shirt. Thanks for participating. Tell us your name.
My name's Kim, and I just want to thank you so much for putting on this presentation. I only found out about it a week ago. I love books, and when I saw the book was about Colombia, I really wanted to come and get the book because my brother-in-law is Colombian. And I just realized today I don't know his story about how he came over to the States. His parents still live in San Andres Island, and he has a brother that still lives there. And so I want to, after I read the book, I do want to pass it on to my niece. He's also a bookworm, and hopefully she'll inspire her little brother. He doesn't like to read at all. But I just want to say that I really appreciate books, and I love learning about other cultures through books. And sometimes I read books that are both nonfiction and fiction about historical events. And I feel that it doesn't make a difference if it's real or not real. It still is very moving to me. And I have to remember, like, is this fiction or nonfiction? Because it seems almost the same. So I just wanted to say that I'll definitely pass on the book. And, you know, I volunteer with the organization where unfortunately we have to throw away books because we don't know where to take them to. So I'm hoping to find more Hispanic books. And as an adult, the past few years I've tried to find Asian books, Asian authors and Asian stories. Growing up, I didn't really think about that. But as an adult, I was like, oh, I can volunteer and get all these Asian books. And, you know, I found some really good ones. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
Tell us your name again, and are you
Kim.
a member of the library?
Oh, yes. Harris County, yes.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That's fantastic. If you did enjoy tonight, I want you to know that this, again, we will be airing this on 90.1 FM KPFT. Our radio show comes on every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. And we also have the, tell me,
It'll be
2 Tuesdays from now.
We're promoting our poetry.
Thank you. So actually next Tuesday, we're having a live event. We drove an hour and a half. So if you feel like driving an hour and a half, Nuestra Palabra now has an office. We're doing a little preview. It's off of I-45 in Parker. It is free. It's poetry at La Torre Latina. If you can make it, it's at 6 p.m. We'll have some free food, some free spirits and soft drinks. We're going to have 3 poet laureates. So one of the co-hosts will be co-founder of Tintero Projects, Lupe Mendez, who's the outgoing Texas Poet Laureate. He's also one of the co-founders of the Librotraficante Caravan. We're going to have Irene Lara Silva, who's the current Texas Poet Laureate. She's coming in from Austin. And then we're going to have the past past poet laureate of San Antonio, Octavio Quintanilla. He'll also be displaying some of his visual art. And then coming from Los Angeles, Angelina Saenz will share her new book. And then also Maria Elena Cortez, who's a poet, she'll have her visual arts there as well. I'll be co-hosting it completely free, but you get to see our office. And then after that too, we're going to be launching our brand new logo, our brand new website in May. So stay tuned. We look forward to working again together often, and we hope that you enjoyed. Did y'all have a good time tonight? Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And Rodrigo wants me to say one more thing.
The event's going to be on March 5th. On the next radio show, we'll be promoting that event. And this episode will be promoting it 2 weeks.
March 12th. So March 12th.
March 5th is our event. And March 12th will be the airing of the show.
So Tuesday, March 12th, you get to hear this program, which is going to be fantastic. It's going to be fantastic on the air. And then also we'll have some great music in there as well. Let's see. Carlos, close us out here. Carlos, say something. Look, he's dressed like a senator. See, I wanted you to dress like the senator you will become. That was the whole motive here. Carlos, close us out.
So yes, I did want to come up here one last time and say, it's wonderful to see that people still care about books to this day. You know, literature has, I wouldn't say diminished, but the more people I meet, the more people tell me that they usually don't read a book. They usually won't grab something. They'll usually say, hey, look, the recent thing that they have posted online. Oh, look at this. This is very interesting. Someone just got into something with someone else. It's never about a book, and it's lovely to understand that people to this day will come up and give their story, because through books we make history. Through books there is power, and through books there is a message to deliver to those that need to hear it.
Wow! Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Let's have some pan dulce. Gracias. Thank you. That's fantastic.